pro tip is that when you go to Amsterdam, there are coffee shops and then there are coffee space shops. So coffee space shops are for your coffee and regular snacks, etc. Coffee shop without a space in middle is for your ganja. This was something that was told by the the local tour guide. Actually, we are like, oh, okay, wow.
What's up, guys? How are you all doing? It's been long time since we've seen each other, right?
Yeah, 3 days.
Yeah. It's been 3 long days.
I'm bored, bro. Like this lockdown it's literally killing me. I mean, I really want to go somewhere. Obviously, we've done an amazing vacation.
Now you want to do international vacation, huh?
Yeah. Now I want to do international vacation. So I tried looking up on Google. Okay. Like planning experts for international vacation and all, and I just found like your numbers. So I thought I'll just check with you all. Like, I mean, I'm really a novice, right? I have no clue on all of this stuff. So I thought.
So where do you want to go? Like, what are your destinations? You must be having some list of destinations.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking somewhere.
He's just thinking Amsterdam. That's it.
Yeah, I was just thinking I'll go to the airport. No, I can't go. I can't do that. I thought I'll go to US and all, but then I was like, okay, it's just too. It's overrated and all, right? But then finally, I kind of thought and all, and one day I got a dream. Okay, this is a true story. I got a dream in which I was really chilling in Europe, and I was like, freak, amazing, right? So why not Europe? It's like you guys have gone to Europe. And it would be a great thing to learn from you all, the experts. So I was like, chalo, let's plan a Europe trip. Off to you. I mean, how do I start off with right now? I got a dream. Now
But
the
I
current
think,
state is only dream.
Were you working in the dream? I hope not.
That's an answer for some other day. Yeah, but
I think the one takeaway from your first blog was that never plan a vacation because the work gets compromised or the vacation gets compromised. So I would definitely not recommend a vacation in Europe, but a vacation definitely yes.
Yeah, and first thing that you have to learn, before going to Europe is it's not Europe, it's Europe.
Okay, fine. Europe. Okay. So how did it start for you all? Obviously, I know I've seen multiple videos. I've heard some 20,000 times the stories of Europe, and that's something I'm damn excited about, right? But I already know how it started. But for people who are listening for the first time, how did it start?
Before I introduce our guest for the day, he's basically the guy who was like instrumental in planning our Europe trip in 2018. So him and Prakrit, like both of them have been on this show now. So. They were the ones who planned our Europe trip. Our major goal was to see Roger Federer, and we had his darshan in Germany, and that also like there was a lot of logic as to why we went to that particular tournament, etc. So yes, so without any further ado, I like to introduce Panda, as we call him. His name is Soumya Panda, close buddy of ours. We play tennis together, we kind of chill on the weekends and stuff like that, and we also went to Europe together. So also on a side note, he's my personal finance manager. So he knows how bad I'm at it and stuff like that anyway. So yeah, that's about him. I know my introduction was quite weird and unstructured. That's because Panda was very clear that I don't want a formal introduction. So, without any further delay, anyway, yeah, take it away, Panda.
Yeah. So, hi everyone. Hi, Abhi and Abhi. It's great to be on this show. I have watched a couple of episodes, more than a couple of episodes actually. So, yeah, I mean, it's great to, be here and have a chat with you all more than anything else. It's a little weird as well because we always catch up face to face. More often than not, we catch up face to face. But yeah, if you just had we needed to record something for this specific episode, and because Abhinandan wanted to take a trip to Europe, so I thought this would be a good time to kind of put things together, what we did well, what we didn't do well. So yeah, hope this helps.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the first thing that I remember about our Euro trip was the major planning that you guys did was about the itinerary and the budget. So obviously, like, they are the most important things, because when you're saying Europe is a huge continent. So, like, for someone going there first time, what would they see? And they're mostly on a tight budget. So yeah, how do we plan that stuff?
Yeah, so I think before planning and budget and everything else, the first step for everything is ignorance. Because I remember that's how our journey started. We wanted to go to Wimbledon because that's supposed to be the ultimate tennis tournament, and of course it's one of the thing we had in common was we are tennis fans and we wanted to see Roger Federer playing and playing live. We always had a feeling in college that maybe he would not he would probably retire by the time we are able to afford a Euro trip. But yeah, kudos to him and his passion for the game more than
He's
anything
still
else,
playing.
that he's still playing, he's still going strong, and enjoying the game, and giving us the joy as well. But anyway, I digress. So we thought, okay, let's go to Wimbledon. And then Abhinav did some kind of basic inquiry as to how much it's going to cost, and we just realized that maybe it's too expensive. Just getting the event passes and everything else is way beyond something we had planned. So long story short, we said, okay, let's come back next year. Maybe we will have done more research and identify where we want to go exactly, right? If not Wimbledon, then where else? So that's how it began, and it was again a 1 year journey, if I have to say, of not doing anything most of the time, and spending some time in research and trying to find out where exactly, because tennis is the mainstay, was the main focus of our trip. So we kind of needed to understand how we could plan it around, because there are a lot of tennis tournaments in Europe, so you need to identify which ones you wanted to go. So I think yeah, that's pretty much how it started. And obviously a lot of doing nothing and then suddenly taking a decision. I think it was over a dinner that we had, and we just decided let's go for it. So and yeah, obviously few inputs here and there, that okay, you need to go during the summer. Okay, so what are the tournaments during the summer? And finally zero it down. We zeroed it down to the one in Germany. This is a small town closer to Netherlands. I would say it's northwestern Germany, called Halle. Yeah, so it's called Halle, and it's a very small town. I don't think it would fall in the regular tourist circuit, but yeah, for us it mattered because that was a tournament which Roger Federer won. I think then he had won 8 times or 9 times, I believe. He was gunning for his 10th title. So we said, yeah, it'll be special for us, and so let's go. So we decided that, and comparatively, I think even the prices, 2 things basically determined it. One, the prices were on the lower side because hey, it's Germany, right? So compared to other countries, the sporting events, the tickets for sporting events are a lot on the lower side, and also because we knew for sure that Roger Federer is going to be there. So I think these 2 were the main reasons we planned.
And also we chose this particular event with respect to the second reason that you said, was because if you want to see more of Federer matches, then this is an event which is like quite small, and it is definite that Federer is going to play that tournament. So it's just an ATP 500 tournament, So ATP 1000 events are generally like the bigger events, and ATP 2000 is basically your Grand Slams. So watching Roger in Wimbledon could have been like a one-time thing, and just watching him from far, and we couldn't have got a solid ticket also. So we were like, if you want to watch more of Federer's matches, why not go here? You can maybe you can chance an autograph or a photograph as well.
Yeah, we'll find we found that out later that he's Roger Federer, so wherever you go, you can get photographed with any player. But it's going to be a huge challenge getting a picture with him. I think the closest we got was Abhinav getting a sneaky selfie with Federer. Can post it right here.
Yeah, and the security guard's like head was shining, like bald head was more prominent than Federer there.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay. So anyway, back to this. I think the first thing you need to understand is, okay, realistically, what's your budget for the trip? I know it might sound boring, things like making a budget and planning for a trip, but honestly, Abhi, you don't. I think I personally believe that just showing up and being too spontaneous on the trip, like we'll go there and figure out that works only in two cases. It's a movie, or you are loaded. You have way too much money to spend.
Or
So
you're
I don't
stupid.
fall in both of those categories. So I have to plan.
Yeah. Right. I have my doubts on the second part. I think you can just like you go to Koramangala, you can make a trip to Europe also like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, while being spontaneous and all is fine, but I believe that at an overall level, you need to kind of know, because obviously time is limited, resources are limited. So you need to sort of prioritize where you want to go. Obviously, you can keep around 10, 15 or even 20% of your trip. You can figure out things as you go. Go with the flow maybe 20% of the time, and the rest, I believe, should have some element of planning. So yeah, I mean, and the thing about Europe is it's got everything for everyone, right? People might say that you can go to Southeast Asia, you can go here, you can go there, but I believe with respect to whether it is musical events, concerts, sporting events, I think that it's got everything for everyone. The museum, the art, the culture, it's there. I mean, Europe has got everything for everyone, so I think that's why it's such an important draw for tourists from all over the world. And again, Europe does get good amount of revenue from tourism, and it's due to it's due to the very fact that it's got everything for everyone. It's got something for everyone. So yeah, that's the reason why I feel it's good to visit Europe when you can.
But if not for tennis, right? Would Germany have been there on your list of countries to visit?
I mean, in hindsight, definitely yes, because I mean, I'll come to the itinerary part. We definitely plan to visit Germany. Otherwise, even if it would not have been the tennis, if it would have been, of course, we visited before the football season, but even football matches would have been a good attraction, because you get to see, I mean, really good teams there, and because I mean, I won't get into the details, but the clubs are owned by the fans, or so that's the reason the ticket prices are low, and that could be one of the draws, whereas you would require a lot more planning, and if you have to watch, say, Manchester United home game, or even an away game for that matter, you'll have to the tickets get sold out in no time, whereas here it's a lot more, I would believe that it's a lot more simpler to get tickets for a football game in Germany. And of course, a lot of other cultural aspects, and there are a lot of things to see and do in Germany, and not just Germany, but every country in Europe, right? It just depends on the extent and depth of your research. For instance, you want to sample the local cuisine or anything, I think any country would be a prime candidate for that. You wouldn't that no specific event or anything would or the lack of it would restrict you from visiting that country if you want to explore its culture, the local cuisine, and it's go around and see the history, whether it is via museums or forts, castles, and all that. So I think it depends on how much you research and how much you want to. The more you research, the more you find out about a country, and then you want to maybe make it again.
True,
It should
true, true.
overlap with your interests.
Yeah, actually, like from what Abhi asked, like I think Berlin and Munich especially are like it has a rich, like a very rich history. There are a lot of castles and the Berlin Wall itself. Like Panda and all visited Berlin, and they were telling how beautiful a city it is. And even my sister visited, and she was saying that it's really, really beautiful and a must-visit place. And also, like earlier, our plan was that if we go to Germany and like, get more time to explore, then we can see the Black Forest, which is one of the a really beautiful forest.
Natural wonders, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the forest is full black, or what is it, like something? I mean, first time I'm here listening to it. First time, bro. I'm actually hearing it for the first time.
Black Sea is black.
No, yeah, I'm not sure. Kidding. So I actually didn't hear about the Black Forest. Actually, this is the first time I heard.
You may have heard about the chocolate cake.
Yeah, or ice cream.
That's named after that region.
Oh, like that. But what you guys were in college, right? When you were planning all of this. No.
It was not a plan back then. It was just that,
no,
hey,
you guys are working.
someday we should go and watch Roger Federer. Then it became, okay, now that you're going all the way to Germany, might as well explore, some other cities and all. Because, like we said, it's a small town where we went to. Halle is a very small town, and it doesn't feature, although it's very, beautiful. The scenic beauty and the roads and everything, it's amazing to maybe just take a road trip, but you might probably pass by it. It's not it doesn't feature in that. So as a result of that, we wanted to explore the other cities as well. So I think the first obviously after finalizing your budget, like having a realistic budget, I think the next thing should be to finalize your itinerary, because Europe is not one country. It's a lot of countries. So where exactly do you want to go? And you need to, and obviously there are a lot of people who want to visit 7 countries in 7 days and all that, and they're actually not visiting the countries, but they're visiting certain cities. So you need to, it's always a good idea when you're planning your first trip to first identify what are the cities that you want to visit, right? And realistically, I don't think you should stay less than 2 days in any city. At least minimum 2-3 days you should plan, because again, there are a lot of places, like you can make day trips from the city to other places nearby. So yeah, I mean, I think the next step would be to kind of identify which cities you want to visit, and ideally they shouldn't be like different corners of the continent. They should be located close by, less than an overnight trip. So yeah, you kind of need to plan out your cities that way.
So basically, Abhinandan, now that he has said that you have to plan out your cities, so if you were to ask you, which cities do you want to go? You have certain things in mind, right, when you would have thought of Europe. So what was it that you thought of? What was it that you heard of?
I have random cities, okay. One is Paris. I remember,
Okay.
I think 4 days back I told you all Paris. Second one was Amalfi Coast. For some good reason, Amalfi Coast looks really awesome. Right?
Italy.
Yeah, in Italy. Florence, Tuscany. It's Tuscany only, right? In Italy.
Yeah.
So basically, I want to go to Italy and eat pineapple pizza.
I hope you survive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bro, they'll get like gun and all.
They are very possessive. I mean, there was a
Mamma
video
mia.
doing the rounds of somebody breaking the spaghetti before throwing it into the water. You should see.
Yeah.
You should check out that video.
Yeah, but I think see, I did my research. I was just looking. There was one route which I thought, okay, Paris, Belgium, Amsterdam. That was one thing, one route. But then obviously I have a separate thing about Italy. Probably go sometime to Italy and then see. I mean, now that you have told, right, that it's rather than visiting places, right, or rather than visiting cities, it's, I think, better to visit a country as such. So then you know exactly how it is, right? So maybe
I thought
one.
we said the opposite.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, no.
Because
Okay, yeah. Got it.
so
No.
you can't visit like when people say visited Italy. Essentially, they are saying that they visited a part of Italy, a very
Correct.
small part of
Yeah.
Italy. So what I was implying is that again, don't treat it like a checklist of okay, I visited France, I visited Italy, and all that. I think what will keep you grounded or like more realistic is I'm planning to visit 3
Yeah.
cities or 4 cities. I think that's more realistic and it'll be more enjoyable.
Okay. Yeah. So I
True,
think
true.
one is at Italy circuit, right? And then the second is like I said, right? Paris, Belgium, Amsterdam. So I mean, so these are the things that are randomly came up in my head. Obviously, I don't know, right? The whole depth of the process itself, and obviously, I think there is a huge thing backing
course,
the whole
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Anything
Yeah.
in terms of events that comes to your mind?
I don't know. Maybe like Tomorrowland. Tomorrowland. Yes, Tomorrowland, Belgium. Yeah, so that's
Okay,
something
or
that
an
like,
F1 race.
yeah,
Any F1
F1
Ah.
race. Yeah, F1 race. In Italy,
Which circuit?
Monza.
Monza, Temple of Speed. Okay.
Yeah, and Tomorrowland is like the highest on my list. So yeah, Belgium.
Okay. So I think we can broadly narrow it down to you have 2 options.
Bro, I think like
And,
before you go to the options, I think if you want to go Tomorrowland, then you can just plan for Tomorrowland.
Tomorrow.
I'm pretty sure you'll not go anywhere else.
Yeah, but I think that's an important point, right? From what I can sense from you guys, right? It's, I mean, it's more favorable, or it would be more enjoyable, right? That's the right word. To kind of plan your trip around a certain event, because at the end of the day, we're looking at experiences also, right? Rather than just kind of going from here to there to here, right? So like how you guys went for a tennis tournament. Something like Tomorrowland and around that stuff. So is that right? What I'm thinking, or what do you guys suggest?
It depends from people to
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, I mean, see, if it's Tomorrowland, I think Tomorrowland would be like a 2 to 3 day event,
Yeah.
right? But your trip, you would have taken, or I mean, depending on another challenge which we Indians face uniquely is days off.
Yeah.
Able to manage your days off. Very few companies actually give you like a 2 week block leave. If you can get that, nothing like it. But yeah, I mean, we were able to get, I think, about just over a week, which is quite sad if you ask me. But I mean, if you can get for like a 2 week period, so think of it like you have 2 weeks and 3 weekends, right? So that's huge. So obviously, I mean, you can plan, you can keep Tomorrowland as your epicenter or whatever, and look around it. Plan around it. I think the first thing you need to figure out is, so once you've made your list of whatever 3 or 4 cities. I mean, if you're looking for a 15-day trip, if it's a 15-day trip, then you can look at say 4 cities, or even 5 for that matter, 4 to 5 cities you would like to explore, and you need to pace it out, not really pack your day. Like I said earlier, don't pack your day with 100%. Leave some space so that you might want to just sit down at a beautiful cafe and not do anything in general, just take in all the sights. So I think even you need to keep some space for that also. I mean, so once you've decided your cities, like in case of you, Abhinandan, it's either you want to have Italy circuit, or you want to do the Western Europe, if I may call it, like Amsterdam, Brussels, and Paris. So that's there. So sometimes what happens is your cities also decide your budget. Uh, if you're going to see the aurora in any of the Scandinavian countries, so Scandinavian countries such as Norway, Sweden, Finland. I can't say about Iceland, but yeah, definitely they are a little more on the expensive side. Similarly, with Western Europe, whether you talk about cities like Amsterdam, Brussels, uh, Paris, again, if you're crossing the English Channel and going the other side to London, they are a little on the expensive side. Uh, and the general thumb rule is it gets less expensive as you travel eastwards.
Okay.
Okay,
Eastwards, as
so
in
Mhm.
like suppose.
towards
Eastern Europe.
Eastern Europe. So you start Germany onwards, like, you know, from Germany you move to Czech Republic, Hungary. In fact, I think one of the most like, I wouldn't use the word yeah, it's frequent, like for a beginner, like, you know, making their first trip to Europe, and you want to balance out everything. They One of the suggested uh, itineraries would be, like I said, again, a 12 to 15 day trip, four cities essentially. You start at Amsterdam, Berlin, then to Prague, and then Budapest. So these are like, you know, that's one suggested one, and it's because it's fairly simple to you know, travel between these four cities. The other thing is you need to pick a city that has good amount of flights coming in from India. So that should be like your base location, or if not your base location, at least like your first touch point. And from there you can start to other cities. So if you look at the map of Europe, I think they are pretty much situated in a single line, right? If you see Amsterdam, and then Berlin, and then Prague, and then Budapest. So I mean, you can they are well connected. So I think that could be like one suggested, and obviously it has to loop back. You know, once you finish Budapest, you come back to Amsterdam and take your return flight. So that's one suggested thing. If you want to like kind of balance out, you know, budget wise and all, also, that's it's a good idea. Again, if you're planning for Italy, right? I don't think there is any other city that has flights other than Rome. So you have to, whether Rome is in your plan or not, you have to start at Rome and then maybe find your way to move around. So sometimes that also decides your budget. If you want to visit a lot of countries in Eastern Europe, you'll spend a lot lesser when compared to. Again, I would suggest, even I would think, I may be wrong, but I think Italy also, you can pretty much assume that it's the cost is like, because I think Switzerland and uh, you know, Switzerland is also nearby. It's a neighboring country, so I think I would imagine that would also be as expensive as
Yeah. It's a bit on higher side. Yeah.
yeah. So I think these two are related, like your budget and your itinerary. These two things are kind of related. You know, one determines the other. Which cities you decide to see will determine your budget, and based on your budget, you need to kind of plan your cities, right?
So once you all planned your cities, then you all were like, okay, fine, this is it, right? And then what did you all do after that? Like,
I think yeah. So similarly, like how I'm offering you two options. I think one of our friends also offered us two options, right? He said, you know, you could start in Amsterdam, stop over in Halle for the tennis tournament, then move to Berlin, and then move to Prague, and then fly back. That was one option. The other one was to again start at Amsterdam, go to
Brussels.
not Brussels, of course. You would have the tennis tournament as a break, and then either move to Dortmund or some other city, German city nearby, and then from there move to Brussels, and again back to Amsterdam. Brussels or one of the other cities, you know, which are more popular, like I think Ghent and Bruges, and you know, there are the other cities But I think we felt that probably Berlin and Prague would be much more, because obviously you can't go to all the cities. You'll have to make a choice. So we decided, obviously cost was one factor, and also as we again, it's important to research the cities that you're visiting. So we felt that Berlin would be a lot more exciting, and it's a lot more vibrant when compared to the other smaller cities that we would possibly go to. And yeah, even Prague also is very beautiful. So we kind of had to decide between that, obviously budget and then the other things. So that made a decision for us.
And I think like once we were there, a lot of like we all stayed in different hostels, and this was our plan that like the first few days in Amsterdam, we are not going to stay in the same place. We'll all go stay in different hostels, and no one should be like near each other type. You have to just get accommodated with local people, just talk to them and like experience stuff around, and then maybe for dinner or something and like going around and all, we'll meet in the evening. So we all were in different hostels, and everybody was asking us, like for how many days you have come here, and we were like for 10 days. They're like, what, you're coming to Europe, you have to be here at least 3 months. So they are like backpackers going around hostel to hostel, and like they're like experiencing it slow and like thoroughly as possible.
Yeah. So I mean, if you can have, I don't see as working professionals getting more than 15 days. I hope post COVID things actually, you can maybe have a month and a half with a little bit of vacation thrown in and a vacation thrown in. I don't know. But I think it depends, how you want to stay, how you want to plan out. I think, yeah, now that you've raised the topic of hostels, I think once you finalize your itinerary and budget, a budget for the trip, I think the next logical step would be your flights and your stay. And because these are going to be, and yeah, you need to understand that it always helps, to book everything in advance so that you keep you have a much better view and control over your expenses. So even before you land there, you kind of have figured out that, okay, I don't know, 70 to 80%, or I would say even 90% of your budget is already kind of sorted. Like even before you have set foot in Europe, it's pretty, like it makes you feel a little bad actually, that, oh my God, I've spent so much and I have not even landed in Europe. But yeah, so yeah, obviously the flights and the stay and traveling around locally, these are the next set of things that you need to plan for.
But where did you book? Where did you all book your hostels?
And yeah, one more thing, of course there are ways to work around it, but ideally when you go for your visa, right, they want you to have all these things planned, that would actually show that you're going there for as a tourist, and you don't have plans of
staying off
sneaking in there. Yeah. So you need to disclose your intent as clearly as possible. Like, you want to have you want to show them, yeah, hey, this is where I'm staying, this is where, of course there are sites that allow you to kind of, I think Make My Trip or anyone, they allow you to temporarily show a flight. That is, in case you're anticipating a rejection, you don't lose the money. So that's there. But ideally you should, I mean, if you're going for a tourist visa and your papers are in place, then there's no reason for you to get rejected. So in which case you should already have booked your flights, your stay. Local travel, maybe once you get there you can figure out, but that's also advisable, right? These are, anyway you're going to incur the expenses, might as well charge them to your credit card if need be, just in advance, just so that you're kind of assured, okay, fine, this much is done. And then of course, the events as well, the event tickets, obviously you'll have to book well in advance. So these are some of the things that you will have to, even before you land there, you need to incur. And then there's the other set of expenses, which are like, your daily, local travel, like, traveling within the city, and your food and drinks. And then again, if you decide to go off track a little bit, like, say that somebody strongly suggests that you need to go and check out this certain, place, or you need to drive because, the route is very good. So then maybe you need to have some things ready over there. Once you go there, you'll have to incur those expenses. So these are the two parts.
You all
Uh,
stayed there, right? You all stayed in 4 different places, right? So, did you book your ticket on Airbnb or some specific website?
Airbnb for, I think, wherever there are, it's if it's a smaller town, I think maybe Airbnb is more applicable. Or if you want to connect with a local and explore it from their eyes, I would suggest Airbnb is a much better option. But in the larger cities, like, if you're talking about let's say Brussels or Amsterdam or Paris, so these have a lot of hostels. And if you go and stay there, of course the comfort is probably on the lower side, but then the kind of people you meet and all that would be really amazing. You get to see a lot of people, you get to hear their stories, and live a little from their experiences, right?
I'll tell you why I'm smiling, because incidentally 3 of us have stayed in hostel for a majority of our life, right? And then comfort level, yeah, I totally agree with what you said.
but the comfort
Yeah.
level that we are talking about here, it's like definitely not like hostel comfort. This is like way more comfortable in very clean hostels and very well maintained also.
Yeah, so there are different kinds of hostels. There are youth hostels which have bare minimum furnishing. Then there are backpacker hostels. But I think, I mean, if you want to go and experience that, that will be really good. But I think that is again slowly dying out. That tradition, if I may say, is slowly dying out. I
Things
think
like
only
couch surfing
seasoned
and all, right?
travelers. No, yeah. No. I'm not just saying for that. I'm saying, see, even many of the hostels, so-called hostels that we visited,
Mhm.
they have essentially been converted into hotels, right?
Oh.
Wherein they kind of cross-subsidize. Like, we stayed at this place called Plus Berlin, right? It's good. It's easy on the pocket. But what they have done is they've split the hostel into, like, the property into two parts. Okay, the one part is like any good hotel, okay, where probably, if you're traveling with your family, you might want to stay there. Whereas if you're traveling with your friends, and you're single, you have lot less consideration for, the comfort and luxury. Because I mean, you might think that, after all, I need it to be secure for my luggage and other valuables, and I just need a bed to sleep in at the end of the day. The rest of the day I'm anyway going to be traveling, so why do I need to spend more on, other frills and bells and whistles and all that? So they want to kind of expand their offering. That's why, they've split the property into two.
Okay.
They have pool, they have laundry, everything which is like common use. So you, even if you're staying in hostel, in the hostel section of the property, which probably, depending on your budget, could be shared by 2 people, 4 people, 8 people, right? So even then you get to experience the common facilities. So I think that's where most of the well-known hostels, right, they are built on that concept now. Or rather, they've evolved to have that concept. I think I've stayed in 2 hostels which were like still retain that that hostel kind of perception, wherein, it's largely young people who don't require much comfort, and they're just they're traveling with the mindset that, I just need a bed to sleep in at the end of the day, and rest of the day I'm anyway not going to be around. So
I think
minimum.
that reminds me of this incident where we were, we decided that okay, we'll stay in different hostels, and then the day before we were leaving for Germany, we'll all come and stay together in one particular hostel. I think it was Amsterdam. I'm not sure about that name of the hostel actually.
Yeah, you can look it up and provide the
Yeah,
link.
maybe I'll just paste it here. While editing, I'll remember. So we thought that like that was also like a dormitory kind of a thing. One room had like 8 people. So we all went in and we found like 3 Australian guys, okay, in the room. And we thought, okay, we'll socialize and stuff like that. And
Yeah,
we-
Aussies are known to be, very friendly and outgoing.
very friendly.
folks.
So we went inside and then we saw that like there are 3 of them, but they're like very quiet. They're not speaking anything. And then one of them is like smiling a little bit, and he's just staring at us. And rest other 2 are like just like staring at ceiling and all that. And then eventually one guy told that guys, we just had brownies. So they were like in
Yeah,
They were, like,
I don't remember
zoned
shoes
out.
or brownies. Yeah, they were knocked out, and I mean, they were nice enough to apologize, saying that I'm sorry, we're not able to like process what you're saying. Please don't. We are not rude. We are not rude people. We're just stoned.
But both of you, right, did you all meet some... We've talked about this, I think, so many times, right, this trip. But one thing that we have not spoken is about, did you meet any interesting people, right? You guys stayed four different corners, right? 4 different directions. Did you meet any interesting people, and how was that experience like? Because I think a lot of people now traveling is becoming more about like very touristy, right? Something on Instagram, you just got to post some stuff and all, right? The whole idea of actually meeting, speaking to people, getting to know people, getting to know different experiences, right? Their cultures, that's something that's fading away, right? So what was interesting people that did you guys meet, both of you?
So I would say pretty much every person I met was interesting in their own way. For instance, I met these 2 students. They were French, but I guess they had studied in Berlin, so they were they were visiting for some reason. And then so they were like, I mean, you just talk to them, I mean, it doesn't have to be like they have achieved something different. They are people like you kind of understand that they have pretty much young people like you. They have similar aspirations, maybe they just want the same kind of things. And also they will also be able to tell you, like for instance, they were able to tell us, okay, if you come to France, this is where probably you should go. And since they also had a lot of experience in Berlin, so they were also able to guide us that way. So I think that and obviously they will have a lot of questions about India. They'll have different perceptions, and maybe speaking to you that can clarify certain things and give a different perspective. So I think that's another important thing which I felt about meeting people. It doesn't have to be somebody with an extraordinary story or they've done something great in their life. It's just regular people like you and me, and I think that kind of brings down certain barriers. Like you realize that I mean, you may hail from different corners of the world, but end of the day everyone wants the same set of things, and they have similar aspirations, and maybe the paths to achieve them are different. But I think that was a very important takeaway for me.
I think for me, like when you're talking about like special people that we met, actually we met a lot of people. So first thing, when we were in Amsterdam, there itself we met a lot of people. And then even when we were in Germany, so Panda and Vijay, another of our friend, they went off to Berlin and Prague, whereas Prakrit and I, we stayed back in Germany to watch the whole tournament. So since it's going to be like the same thing over and over every day, so we thought that maybe we can kind of change the places of stay. So we booked like 4 Airbnbs only in Germany. So every 2 days we would keep hopping from Airbnb to Airbnb, and that was fun. And we met a lot of nice people, and people who actually knew a lot about Indian culture, and they were talking about.
I think our first host,
yes,
she was a senior citizen, very elderly, and she was in the teaching profession, and she was definitely very open to hosting us, and definitely had a lot of questions about what places. I mean, she was planning a trip to India later that year, and I guess we were able to help her out that way.
And one of the interesting people that I met was this lady in the stadium. Okay, so it so happened that the semi-finals match ended. Uh, Federer had beaten, I think Dennis Kudla, one of the players. So or someone else, I don't remember. So he was supposed to exit through the back door of the stadium, and that's where all the people assembled together for getting the autographs and photographs, etc. So Prakrit and I were like running full speed. Then we see this old lady. She's wearing a red color RF t-shirt, and she's almost like racing us. She's happily at least 70 years old. Okay, and she was like running like crazy. Then like we were like, come on dude, like this is embarrassing, let's chase her. Then we ran and like we stood before her, and she tried to compete and all that, and then she came and stood next to us, and then we started chatting, and then she told that uh, I've been following Roger for like last 17 years. So we were like, okay, we are also following him for last 10 years. So by following, she meant she has attended every single tournament that he has played in Europe. And she just opened one. She had an album with her, and she started showing, this is like 2007 Hala, this is Wimbledon, this is with him here. So like all those were like pictures of him. And
So were they part of some fan association
yes,
or something?
yes, I don't know like if there is like a Roger Federer fan club or what, but she's like one of the one of those ladies who follows him like super ardently. And like then we realized, damn, like that is a super fan. And she said that she was just chatting, and like this boy like he makes us spend so much money. But we can't resist like not watching him. Like it's basically like that is the power of Roger Federer, and that charisma.
I think another thing, like now that you mentioned that about stadium, it was a different experience for us, because I mean we are not. I mean, it's only on paper that we say that we are a sporting country, we are a cricketing country. Okay, so the amount of I mean, it's a small town, right? And the tournament goes on for 7 days. But in order to draw kids and different people, so they have like one day of the week for senior citizens, 1 week wherein they get 50% off if you're a child, and another day for women, so that you get a more diverse audience attending, and they also develop an interest for the sport. I think that was something very different that I got to notice. And I mean, there was seated next to us was a father and son, and just bonding over sports, and attending events with your family such as this. I think that was uh, there are enough facilities for them to enable them to hang out, whereas maybe that's not the case. If you want to catch a cricket match with your family in India, it's going to be a with respect to the facilities and the kind of attention, or the kind of facilities that you're given as a fan, right? That's a lot lesser here. I don't know, maybe we are a large population or something, but there I could see that everyone who attended there, whether they are I mean, even we even saw like two grandparents, right? They were herding a bunch of kids. So that's really nice to watch, that the facilities are such that you kind of get everyone is able to attend it, and they make it easy for you to attend.
Yeah, and not just easy, but also like it's so lucrative, right? I mean, if you go to watch a cricket match in India, it's just a match and you come out and it's done. But this is like a whole experience. If you enter, back then it was called Gary Weber Arena, there is like everything possible for you. Like there are food stalls, etc. Then there are like sporting goods, and then there are like so many courts and all built for like kids to play tennis, and I don't know, like so many things,
like we said, it was like a carnival.
Yeah, it was carnival,
because this is probably, it's a small town where maybe in terms of events, maybe nothing much. Probably this was like the largest event apart from maybe a couple of music festivals.
Yeah.
So I think it was like a carnival for the local residents, and so that was something that obviously we had not planned to see it, but once. So these are some of the things that when you go on your trip, it's not always about what you plan. You kind of get to experience a lot more than what you had expected. So
Yeah, actually, when I was looking
that's
at
there.
Formula One's, they have this thing called F1 experience, especially for fans coming for the first time. It's not just the race that is happening or the qualification or the free practice. They take you on those, on that, vehicles, like open buses, etc., through the track, and then you get to pose with the trophy, and then you get to go in the garage. So that is something, I think even like Ganesan in the previous podcast, he was talking about that, like the sports as experience is being sold so very well there. And sports is not just, like a match happening and like few fans shouting something yay and going back home. So that was something we experienced for the first time, and it was amazing.
Yeah. So, see, I kind of got to know now that from whatever we spoke, right? First is to plan, have a budget in mind. Then think with that budget, how do you plan your itinerary, right? Now, post all of this planning, and now it's the execution time. What did you all do, right? You went to Europe. Which all countries did you visit, right? And then some points that you could pick out from that whole experience.
Like I said earlier, it was for us a 4-city trip, right? And I I wouldn't say that I had researched a whole lot of it, right, with respect to each and every city. And it's which is why, again, I'll say it's very important to kind of know why you are going there. Even if you're going with a bunch of friends, right, you will have common interests and you will have not so common interests. So it's important to kind of not, how do I say, if you're going with your friends, have that space or that individuality to explore your own locations, right? Maybe your friend may not be as interested as in World War II history, or in art. Say Van Gogh Museum might be a very important thing for you but may not be for your friend. So you need to, since you're going there all the way, you might as well make the most of it. So that's definitely there. So I think we all planned it that way because I think Abhinav and Prakrit, they wanted to experience that and stay in that watch the entire tournament, right? Whereas me and Vijay, we were like, okay, let's stay first half of the week there, and the rest we can, since we're going there, we're going all the way to Europe, might as well see a couple of cities more, which is why we then went to Berlin and then went to Prague. And I think each reading about it and watching a couple of YouTube videos on it is one thing, but actually getting to experience the city is something which is completely different, right? And Berlin is like one really happy place, right? I mean, you have it's extremely diverse with respect to a lot of it's very cosmopolitan that way, and somehow it gives you the feeling that it's a city that is very young. The vibes, it's a city that never kind of sleeps, right? It's that kind I mean, that you can say it for every city, but specifically I think the it was really chill compared to what we thought it would be. It was really mind blowing. Prague, of course, like it's beautiful, and but then what you need to be aware of in Prague is there are a lot of tourist traps, especially because the other countries we had visited used euro as the currency, whereas here they had, I think, it's called krona or crowns as they call it. And the biggest scam that you can experience is the money changing scam, right? There are a lot of places which will advertise that you get best rates here, but actually it will not be. So these are some of the things. I think one thing, I think that was learning for us. It was a learning for us. And then there are certain spots in the city which are actually beautiful, but if you want to really get a good view of it, you need to make that extra effort of showing up early in the morning. Otherwise it's going to get crowded very fast. So those are some of the learnings which you kind of visit for the first time, and then you learn, and that will help you plan your future trips well in advance.
Yeah.
So
I was
Yeah,
actually
and-
seeing a YouTube video, okay, in which they were saying Amsterdam, certain museum. I forgot which museum. No, I think it was that
Anne Frank Museum.
Anne Frank Museum. That you have to book well in advance, or else you have to be there first in line, right? It's not like here where
Correct.
you just show up. You just show up and you kind of just jump the line, and you'll be like, "Hey, I love
Yeah.
me, bro," and all that stuff. Like,
No, I think that's very important for them, because they want to, rather than having n number of visitors come in, they want to, again, this is again how they are treating the audience. They want it to be a memorable experience, so they restrict the amount of people that can visit. That's something that you don't hear of here, right? In India, you want as many people to visit, but then I think they are able to, I mean, maybe they have the luxury of different, maybe they get separate funding from the government or local bodies, that but for other places, and yeah, for the Anne Frank Museum, I could not visit it because I thought I could just sort of walk in, but yeah, I realized that the queue is way too long for me, and they kind of stop after a certain number of visitors. They stop, they don't allow any more visitors for the day, so they plan it in advance, like how many have booked online versus how many walk in, and then they restrict that. So yeah, that's definitely one of the things that you kind of need to, some things you can plan for, whereas certain things, once you go there, you will kind of understand. Like there is I think there's this in Prague, there is this, I think it's called Charles River Bridge. That's kind of the highlight of it, and it's very beautiful, but we visited in the afternoon right in the middle of the day, so it was crowded, and you realize that rather than being on the bridge, you go off the bridge, you get better pictures or shots of the bridge, or you get a better view of the bridge, whereas if you want to visit that place when as seen on Google search, you need to be there much ahead of time.
Actually, like Panda said about that Anne Frank Museum, right? That they restrict the number of visitors. That's because, first of all, Anne Frank, when you're talking about Anne Frank, it's definitely a very sensitive topic, and it's about the whole concentration camps. And no, she was not a survivor, actually, right, Panda?
yeah, she
Yeah,
was.
She wasn't.
She wasn't.
So it's a very
So
sensitive.
it's a very solemn topic.
Yeah, it's a very solemn topic, and so they treat it with that sensitivity and make sure that like don't bring in people like herds, and simply they'll not take away anything basically. So people who come in, they come in with more sensitivity and stuff like that. So that is one thing, and so a few points from my end was like, first thing is like research places, like Panda said. What happens when you start researching stuff? So I saw this guy and Prakrit researching. Like Prakrit is like next level research. He'll research ki, okay, on the first day if I go from here to here in one particular bike, how much time it'll take me and stuff like that. Okay, so so what happens is, when you do a little bit of research, at least, no, that builds excitement for you. Like you can go, and obviously you can think ahead. And apart from that, we realized one thing was that we should have learned like few phrases of the language.
Yeah,
Because-
yeah,
Because
exactly.
local
Local
language,
language.
because you don't know how easy it becomes to break ice. Like had I known like 5 lines of German, God knows I would have been like still been in contact with a few people or things like that. So that is a very important thing.
Yeah.
And
I think especially in France, Germany, to some extent even Czech Republic, right? Although the younger folks might speak the language, but if you even attempt to speak the language, I think that would, like he said,
Yeah.
now it would be a good icebreaker.
True. And apart from that, food is a huge attraction, right? So like my take or Panda's take is like, how much ever you miss Indian food, no, please don't go there and try to eat like paneer butter masala khayenge aaj and shit like that. No, please go and like experience different stuff, like try out. There are so many cuisines which you wouldn't have even heard. So just walk into some nice restaurant and just have that whole experience of dining. So that is one thing. And then one thing I realized was that like payment wise, I felt that India back in 2018. We are talking about it, 2018 June. Like India is much better digitally connected in terms of payments than Europe.
Yeah.
Because when we went to countryside Europe, or even some places in Amsterdam and all,
Even
Yeah.
mainstream, like even in Berlin also, it was cash only for all the
yeah.
various eateries and all.
So that was one fuck all thing actually. So I feel even some places like Forex cards also weren't working. They were like, no, only this Forex card will work and shit like that. So
Yeah, and they have huge, payouts also, like as in commissions, charges, right? You only a certain kind of card. So I remember, Abhinav being the cash guy, and we kind of got him to spend all the money for us rather than, because most of us were carrying it in our cards, right? And he was the only guy who unknowingly was carrying a lot of cash because.
because my dad works in a bank.
Yeah. No, because my previous experience, right? When I had been to Australia, it was very easy. If for minimum of $3, you could use your card, and it was very helpful and it was convenient that way. Now, just because you have that mindset that it's sort of Western or Westernized country is all the same, you'll be in for a surprise that way. So it was most of the places it was cash only, and very few places actually accepted your cards.
Yeah. And
so
actually,
so you
yeah,
need
since the major the major spending happens like on a daily basis is food. So what we realized was that we can have maybe a light breakfast or something, or if the Airbnb or something has a complimentary, then good for it, but we didn't have. But have a light breakfast, and maybe lunch also is, you can just have a fun, but make sure that you have a nice dinner.
at least one meal a day. It should be like
Yeah.
a proper one, which you get to experience the local flavors, and I think that was great, because when we stayed in the hostels, for us it was actually reverse, from what Abhinav said, because they provided a kind of a buffet breakfast. So we would load ourselves, I think, and it's a very good breakfast which you get for a reasonable price. So you are able to have good breakfast, and then you don't have to worry about food for the next, I don't know, till it's evening. You don't have to really worry. You can you can skip. And the other thing you need to keep in mind is the amount of taxis, your Ubers and all are quite expensive. So I think public transport, and you be ready to walk. I think the amount of walking we would have done, I don't think we do it, because again, another thing that helps is probably the lack of pollution and a very pleasant climate. That way you're able to, I remember we had gone to, I think, Zanskans, or the windmills
Zanskans,
place, and we were able to walk, I think, at least 25 kilometers we would have walked that day. Be ready for that, and probably as a result of that, maybe your food also will get digested faster. So you need to plan out that way also. No matter what you consider as a heavy breakfast here, maybe you'll have to plan accordingly, because it needs to last for a long time. Because some people might see stopping and getting a bite to eat as if their day is already packed, you want to see a lot of things. So probably this strategy works, right? You have a good breakfast, so that you can kind of skip lunch to maybe visit some other place, and then end of a tiring day you reward yourself with an amazing dinner.
And the dinner is like what, 7:00, 6:30 in the evening.
And also the timings, it's not India, so things are never going to be open till late. Things close pretty early.
The advantage,
maybe
the
because
advantage in summer is like how we went in June, right? So you have like daylight till like 10:00, 10:30 in the night.
Yeah, which is why most people visit Europe during the summer, because you have a much longer daylight to
explore.
I think we had in Halle, I think about 9:30 or 10 o'clock sunset. So which is like it's unbelievable. By 5 in the morning it's bright, so that you start your day early, and you don't have this I think psychologically you feel you still have a lot of day left, it might be 8 in the evening, but it seems like, you know,
And
3 in
the
the
first day
afternoon.
actually when we went, we left at like it was like a 4 a.m. flight. So we reached Dubai by 7 a.m. and all the while I think since we are going east, we were gaining time.
No, we are
We are
going
going west,
west.
so we
We
were
are going
gaining time.
west. Yeah.
And the first day there, we had like a 27 hours day because you gain time and like the daylight is just not getting over, you know, like because like till 10:30 in the
Yeah,
night,
it was
it was
Friday.
bright as fuck, and we were just like chilling, aram se.
Hmm. I think one more thing, you know, just to add to Abhinav, yeah, research is important. And if it's a city, right, um, take a guided tour of the city. They have the walking tours. I think that's the amazing experience. I thought, okay, you know, it will
Like the
be
one with the
so-so,
audio
but
thing?
uh,
Audio piece.
No.
no, not
With
that,
the
not
guide.
that, not that. You actually walk. So there are different organizations like, you know, Sandman, and there are others. Like, so what they do is uh, they don't require any, like, you can pretty much you can walk up to them. They'll be having, you can recognize them by their flag and backpack, and you know they'll be kind of having a crowd of people. They have designated spots from where they start. You can either book the tour online, no charges upfront, and you can also kind of join them at the starting point of the, you know, of the walking tour. But what and that's a really great way to experience the city, because you know those people are really good at their jobs. They know, uh, uh, they show it to you as a local. You know, they tell you the story of the city, its history, its attractions. You know, some of the things probably you wouldn't find online, right? For instance, in Amsterdam, they showed us the office of what was known as the Dutch East India Company. Probably, I don't know, 17th or 18th century they were talking about. And to, you know, see that, okay, this is what was the Dutch East India Company, and then came the British East India Company, and then colonialism and all that. So it's pretty, you know, they would say that, hey, you know, this place was where this happened. And you know, you get to experience a different side of the city. And again, it's you know, the people who conduct those tours are very well versed, and they'll give you a good idea of the city. So yeah, strongly recommended. Whichever city, preferably on day one, you know, the day you land, try to take a tour, or maybe the morning after. Ideally, you know, first thing you do in the day, take a walk. So from there, maybe some of the things you and they're very friendly. They, you know, you ask them, hey, this is what I'm looking for, you know, in terms of food options. You know, I'm a vegetarian, I have certain dietary preferences. They can even tell you certain places which probably you won't find it in your mainstream internet reviews or anything. But and they obviously, and they don't charge. There's no fixed fee. It's based on tips, like, you know, end of the tour, whatever you feel like, whatever is reasonable to you, you give them. But yeah, I mean, it's important for, you know, people not to sort of underpay them, because
Yeah.
that's how they earn their money. They are earning their money. They don't ask you, they don't pressurize you. That's a wonderful thing. They tell you very objectively that, hey, you know what, this is how I earn my money, only via tips. The walking tour company is not paying me. They're just kind of issuing me an employment pass, you know, after doing the necessary quality checks, whether I'm good enough to be a guide or no. And once that is done, they don't pay me. It's pretty much by tips that you know, I earn. And many of them are students, and also I think you need to kind of do a little bit of research on, you know, what is the, yeah, you know, what is the hourly wage rate, acceptable minimum, and you kind of contribute to that. In a, you know, don't want to be seen as a overly cheap person, right?
Yeah.
So I think that is one part, you know, walking tours. Every city I'd been in, I think I've taken a walking tour, and it's really
And like
really rewarding.
Panda said that, you know, like they tell you things from a local point of view. So like basically whichever place you're going to, like there is some amount of knowledge that you will not get through internet. So make sure to, you know, like just connect with some locals, and definitely they'll tell you some spots or some places which you can visit, especially when it comes to like restaurants and local attractions, etc.
I think now I'm kind of have a broad idea, right?
You have a
Yeah.
picture.
And most important
The
thing,
picture
Panda,
is,
like you are like my personal finance guru. So you can also talk about how to set aside a fund for a Europe trip.
yeah, I think at least 1 year prior, nothing fancy. I think you just put a recurring deposit, or have a fixed deposit. I think that works rather than nothing fancy. Just have a target figure in mind, and I think that will also motivate you, because it's a 1 year thing, right? I mean, you're planning with a 1 year horizon. So hopefully next summer should be better than the past 2 summers that we've had. So if you're planning, so I think yeah, fingers crossed, you can start setting aside a sum of money every every month. And I think a ballpark figure, again, it depends on the individual. I think you should target something like between 1 lakh 1 lakh 20.
Yeah.
I think that's a good figure to get for a I don't know, 12 to 15 day trip. And again, you always have scope to save money, right? Whether it's your stay or attractions or anything. The more research you do, the better ways. And if you plan well in advance, you know you'll be able to kind of save a lot. So I think that is one important thing that you kind of uh, need to, and obviously you explore whatever options are available, right? Like for instance, if you want to go from say Paris to Brussels, maybe train is a better option, and it might be more expensive. uh, but again, you need to see what is more important. Is the train experience, and yeah, European train experiences are amazing. I think we went on a bullet train from Halle, which is, sorry, near, it's Bielefeld to Berlin. And I kid you not, I think it took us like 2.5 hours, which, if you've stayed in India, uh, it kind of messes around with your concept of how many hours it takes to cover 200 kilometers or 300 kilometers, because they are actually quite far, and we thought, okay, it will be an overnight journey. So I mean, so the point I'm trying to make is, if by all means have a train experience. And in some places, you'll find that actually taking a flight is the cheapest option, surprisingly. Like Prague to Amsterdam, we found that obviously the distance is also much longer, but we felt that the cheapest option to go was via flight. And some of my friends also, like, they flew from Switzerland to Portugal, right? And they were like throwaway prices. So you need to be aware of that also. Buses are definitely inexpensive and advisable for an overnight journey, but trains offer like really scenic, the it's very very beautiful vistas.
Yeah.
And the scenery is like amazing, the scenic beauty that you get to experience on a train. And it's a fast moving train, it's completely
Yeah, I mean, like
different.
in Germany
And
itself,
yeah,
like we were almost exhausted without, because we were like traveling overnight and stuff like that. Uh, we were so exhausted with the journey, but we were just looking around because like it's so beautiful. Like everything is like lush green, and those nice beautiful cottages.
yeah, it was
Yeah, it was
spring
spring.
and summer.
So
Yeah.
like I was imagining like that itself was like this. Imagine like you had we gone to like Switzerland and taken that that Jungfrau, there's a train thing that goes on. It's extremely beautiful. So that's in our bucket list next.
So yeah, and at the same time, don't compromise on just keeping. You need to draw a fine line between your budget and your experiences, right? Don't get too finicky about your budget and all. It's okay. I mean, even if it you know e- even if it's slightly kind of, it's on the higher side, but it's an experience that you wanted to go for. Like, I don't know, people have different interests. And for somebody doing a bungee jump or something, despite its cost, people want to take it. So yeah, it depends on. So don't. I mean, there are certain things. I feel that on travel, on stay, are some of the places you can optimize. Whereas for the other things, like and yeah, public transport. Public transport is amazing. I think in both Prague as well as Berlin, so take a day pass if you can. That's the cheapest way to get around the city. So because taxis are prohibitively expensive, either you walk or you get public transport. I think that's the best way to explore European cities, and it's very. I think Berlin back then was just about seven euros a day, and you could pretty much cover the entire city. Prague is a little. Berlin is huge. Prague is a little on the smaller side. You can, I mean, it won't be an exaggeration to say that you can walk and cover the entire city. But yeah, the trams uh, are very very beautiful, and they have been there for a lot of time, right from the World War days. So
Yeah.
that's
Even in
one more
Amsterdam, I
thing.
think we had like a common pass for all the public transport. Like you can use for train, trams, and bus, if I'm not wrong. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So that's a good option to have. Another thing about eating out, generally, unlike America or anything, the restaurant staff are they don't expect you to give tips. Either that or they already include tips. So if it's possible, if you're really impressed with the service, do offer a tip. But otherwise, it's not always the case. You don't have to. And many of the places actually in Europe charge a fee for using the restroom. uh, in some of the places they don't tell you explicitly, but it's not if you pay once it's good enough for an entire evening. But many people, they feel that every time they use they kind of have to pay. So that's you'd be better off sparing that those couple of euros for some snacks or drinks or whatever than always giving it whenever you need to use the restroom. So yeah, these are some of the things, like you go there, you experience, and you
And
learn.
one pro tip is that when you go to Amsterdam, there are coffee shops and then there are coffee space shops. So coffee space shops are for your coffee and regular snacks, etc. Coffee shop without a space in middle is for your ganja. This was something that was told by the the local tour guide.
Guide.
Actually, we are like, oh, okay, wow.
And yeah, other thing you need to take care is weather. They don't have a rainy season as such. They don't have a monsoon season. On the same day, you can experience, bright sunshine, and suddenly there's a cloud cover. I remember the walking tour we were taking. We experienced all seasons in one day.
In Amsterdam,
So
or you're talking about
from a
Berlin? Okay.
Berlin. Yeah. So when you set out, it's bright and sunny, and suddenly it gets cloudy, starts pouring, and it clears off, and then again you start. So the important thing is layers. You need to layer it. Like probably you just have a t-shirt. When it gets hot, you take off the jacket, and then you put on a your fleece jacket or whatever, because you need to shield yourself from the cold as well, right? It's going to be colder compared, even if it's summer, right? um, so yeah, so that's also probably something that will help you to pack your stuff when you go there, right? In terms of clothes and all that. So
So, are you ready, Abhinandan?
Yeah,
Are you
I'm
like,
like full pumped now.
yeah?
Uh,
Now you
I
can
mean, yeah,
start. You can start the mental part. You can start visualizing yourself in under, Eiffel Tower with somebody.
yeah. So I think, yeah, amazing, right? I was just thinking. I think when you were telling all of it, I was literally like living through the whole experience.
visualizing.
Yeah, and there's so
Yeah,
many
yeah.
things I didn't know, right? Stuff like, I mean, the washroom. I mean, from what you said recently, washroom, and then food. There's just so many things that I kind of figured out that okay, oh shit, I don't know this stuff. But yeah, amazing.
Yeah, so it's important to kind of plan well in advance. Like I said, if you want to spend, you got to be spending for the experiences and not for, you don't want to overspend on the basic necessities like, stay and all that. So it might sound boring to have a budget and make plans and be a little more organized with your packing and all that, but yeah, definitely. And obviously you got to figure out your SIM card situation, and even your what do I say, your forex card. Those are some things I think you'll find anyway. You get a lot of resources, but yeah, I think we cannot stress enough on researching, because I remember in Prague, right, there's a guy who posts YouTube videos. I don't know, I haven't checked out his channel in a long time. He posts a lot of tourist traps that you need to avoid. I think that helped me a lot, with respect to, okay, this is the local food. They'll claim that it's local food, but it's not. Don't have it. So if you want, these are the good places. Like, of course we couldn't do it, but this is actually in Prague, very interesting thing that, if you want to go and actually enjoy a proper local meal, there are certain schools whose cafeterias open for public, so you get it at a very low cost and you get the genuine stuff. So I think the day we went to Prague, I think it was a weekend, so probably the schools were not open, so we couldn't go there and all. So yeah, these are some of the things.
And I think like all in all, I think the situation definitely has changed now a lot. Like there's so many travel restrictions when you're traveling to certain countries, etc. So I mean, like, needless to mention, but make sure that you research and before going there.
Yeah, even for the vaccination part and all that, I think there will be a lot more checks going forward. Abhi, if you want to visit Europe, if you're really this thing, Serbia has open visas for Indians, so maybe that you can make your base and then move to other countries. I don't know if you
I
can
don't know. I think
plan that way. That's also there.
Already so excited actually. I think maybe we all should do together, right? We all should do together one trip, right?
Yeah, and you will be sponsoring like 10% of our trips because we gave you this tips.
Yeah, we're giving you free advice here, right?
I've already started off, I think, planning. Thanks a lot for planning. So yeah, I'm just looking at the flights here, how to go to Paris. Yeah, so yeah, I think the trip is pretty much started right after this podcast.
And you can put in the links, right? You can put in the links for important like places to book your hostel, and we can consolidate that and put it on one particular location. I think that would help whoever's watching this video to plan.
Yeah, but something I'm realizing is that flights itself are 50,000, so it's like half of the fare, right?
So you have to like
budget.
you have
to book it in advance,
like
right? I mean, you're seeing
next year. So
and also like you should book it to like like Paris is a very famous destination. Like you should look out for other European
alternatives
cities.
Also.
Like
check Frankfurt. Is it much better? Is it much better to go to Frankfurt or Amsterdam and then take a train there? Train to Paris or something.
Okay, I'm booking the flight, guys. See you soon in Frankfurt.
Alright, so viewers and listeners, that was our Euro Trip special podcast. It was quite fun, frankly, and I think Abhinandan is all set to pack his bags and book his tickets and fly off to God knows which European country. And it was fun for us also to discuss this, and certainly like I'm also going to start planning now because I'm getting joshed now. So if you like this podcast, please subscribe and share it with your family, friends, whoever is like excited and like itching to go to Europe. So see you next time. Thank you so much.
Peace.
Peace.